Am I too loud or something? Okay, I'll whisper. All right, good evening. Y'all all need to get to work so that your pews will look like these pews. We need to start calling folks, huh? Where's everybody at? Where are you? Missed you tonight. Let them know that they're missed. Let's see. Announcements. Nobody cares about Saturday, so we'll go on to Sunday.
Saturday's Easter egg hunt.
Right, nobody cares about that, so.
Yes, I do.
Huh? You care? You really do? What are y'all going to do to get ready for the Easter egg hunt? Huh? Get eggs? You going to lay eggs? All right, so what time is the Easter egg hunt? 2 o'clock. Very good. Mr. Dalton, do you need any help getting things ready for the Easter egg hunt? Yeah, we need some adults here. What time? All right, about 12:30. Sound good? So we need some adults here about 12:30 to help get everything ready for the Easter egg hunt, which is this Saturday. And I'm looking at the wrong thing, and that one's not coming. 12 o'clock, yeah. All right, so Saturday's the Easter egg hunt. What's next? What time? 7 a.m. Sunday morning. Outside. Dress warmly. If you want to wear your fancy Easter outfit, go right ahead, but no. Wear a coat, bring a blanket, whatever you need to keep you warm there, except for sleeping bags. No sleeping bags allowed. If I can't get in a sleeping bag, you can't get in a sleeping bag. No, you can't. All right, so Easter service, 7 o'clock, Sunday morning. We're going to be outside here, so make sure that you dress warmly. Bring your lawn chairs or something to sit on out there. Because the ground will probably still be a little wet, so I don't think you're going to want to sit on the ground. After the service, what's next? Breakfast. There's a sign-up sheet in the vestibule. If you have not already done so, please check that sign-up sheet for what food you're going to bring to share for breakfast. Looking forward to the Easter service. I think it's going to be good. We will not have services Sunday night. Let me add one thing too. This Saturday after the Easter egg hunt, I want to do a dry run, set up outside, get everything hooked up, and make sure that all the sound equipment and everything works. No, not going to leave it out there, but get everything hooked up and make sure that. No, I'll do it after the. Oh yes. Probably about 6:30 or so. All right, car wash.
Next Saturday.
What time?
10 o'clock. 10.
He doesn't want to get up early, does he? All right, April the 10th, not this Saturday, but the next Saturday, is the car wash from 8 to 12. What is the dress code for those who are washing the cars? Make sure, yeah. You can wear a swimsuit if you want to, but you got to have shorts and t-shirt on over it. Dress code for the water park, exactly. And no short shorts. There's also a sign-up sheet for Bible camp in the vestibule. If you are planning or considering going, please be sure that you put your name on there. Jason and Jesse's baby girl will be here soon, so let's sprinkle her with lots of love. The box is out in the vestibule that the WMS is sponsoring the shower for Ellie Yvette Lambert. It's a silent shower, so make sure that you bring your gifts before April the 11th, and that's that evening service. So April the 11th, morning or evening service, but that's the cutoff, is that night. The youth are also going to be doing a grab-and-go donation meal on May the 16th. May the 16th. Make sure you put that date on your calendar so you can plan to take your lunch home with you. The menu is spaghetti and sauce with garlic bread and dessert. And the youth will be here Saturday, May the 15th, to get the food ready. Time will be announced later. Volunteers still needed for Vacation Bible School. Sign-up sheets also in the vestibule. Please make sure you check that. And we have a concert coming up in April as well. Who's going to be here? Joyce Igo. So let's be letting folks know about that as well. Any other announcements? All right, do we have any prayer requests? Your mom. Also, Sherry Maxey, and remember Hannah Sutherland too. She, her feeding tube came out again last night, late last night, and she had another doctor's appointment today, but they, what they were going to do, weren't going to be able to do, so they canceled it at the last moment. But do remember Hannah in your prayers as well. Any others? Soon and very soon. Yeah. Yeah, it's really a little early, so we need to be in prayer for them. Yeah. Any others? All right, let's go to the Lord in prayer then. Keith, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Lord, we thank you for this day, Father. We thank you for the blessings that you give us, Father. Lord, as we heard the prayers, Father, just bless the ones that are in need, Father. Bless Marie, Father, just help them that they can cope with whatever they have to, Father. And Lord, just bless our church. Lord, just help us that we can be a shining light for you, Father. Lord, just continue to bless the ones in our church, Father, the ones that are sick, Father. Lord, just help our members, Father. Lord, just bless us as we go into the Easter Sunday, Father. Help us that we can be totally content for what Easter really means, Father. And that we can give you all the honor and the praise, Father. Just go with us and bless us, Father, for we ask all these things in your humble name.
Amen. All right, let's go to class. There's a baby shark behind you. Baby shark. No. All right, I got a good question for you. What have we been talking about for the last, well, we started back in November and we talked about it last week too. I have a good question for you. I have a good question for you. Okay. The message series is Good Question. And where am I going? That's tonight. We've talked about, let's see, what was the first question? Anybody remember? Let's start at the origins, the beginning. Where did I come from? Where do I come from? Why am I here? Last time we talked about who am I? Tonight, destiny. Where am I going? Do you make decisions quickly based on a gut feeling? Or do you overthink decisions, waiting for as much information as possible before you decide? A little of both? You know, when we make decisions, we tend to do that. We tend to either very quickly, very rashly make a decision, and that typically doesn't turn out very well, does it? If we make a decision too quickly. And then other times, we drag our feet, waiting for as much information as we can, and so that we can make an informed decision. That's what we think anyway. And so, as we think about questions and decisions that we make, the best way to make, what's the best way to make a decision? Let me ask it first. I wonder. Nope. Thought maybe there'd be a coin here. You know, flip a coin and call heads or tails. You ever done that before? Making a decision? Only in playing games. We like to get information and try to figure out what the best course of action is. Mm-hmm. Make a list, pros and cons, and sit there and work on it and think about it. And sometimes we take so much time thinking about it and going through it that we miss an opportunity too, right? Or it solves itself. With this idea of destiny, where am I going? That's one that's not going to solve itself. We have to make that decision ourselves. And that decision is one that will have an eternal result, will it not? When Paul taught in the Areopagus, there were 3 responses from those who were present. There were some that received what he had to say, some that rejected what he had to say, and some needed more information. They just needed to hear more. And that's typical of any service, if you will, of almost any decision. When it comes to destiny, most of us will fall into one of those 3 areas. We're either going to receive it, we're going to reject it, or we need more information. It's important for us to remember, though, that your decisions will determine your destiny. In Acts chapter 17, Paul explains that God made everything. This is verses 30 to 34. That, remember, he's talking to the Greeks. He made everything, including you. We talked about that in week 1. Where did I come from? He gives us meaning. Why am I here? So that we would seek Him, reach out for Him, and find Him, that He could do this because He is not far from any of us. We talked about this last week, right? And so finally the crowd had to decide. The information had been put out there. They had what they needed, and they had to make a decision. Some received what Paul had to say. Some liked what he had to say, and so they entered into a relationship with God, the God that Paul had presented to them, and wanted to know, to learn more, needed to learn more. And this had an impact on their destiny, both on earth and in their eternity. There were others who rejected what Paul had to say. That also had effects, not just here on earth, but eternal effects as well. And then others had to ask him or asked him to come back and teach them more. And I think it's important that we do recognize that sometimes some people just need more information to make that decision. But the answer to the question, where am I going? I can answer that question for you. You want me to answer it for you? The answer to the question, where am I going? This is the answer. Wherever your decisions take you. So the decisions that you make will determine your destiny. They will determine not just where and how you will live on this earth, but they will also determine where you will spend eternity. Realize that our decisions determine our destiny. And it's, the older you get, the more you move from the decisions you make to the destiny that you've built for yourself. And in fact, the older you get, the more you consider the destiny than the decision. Would y'all agree with me on that? Would you agree with me on that? Well, you're the oldest one here, so. Like I said, you're the oldest one here. So the good news is that at any age, as we make decisions, we learn how to make better decisions. A lot of times that's learned by making the wrong decisions. And, sometimes the best lesson learned is the wrong lesson. We learn, based on bad decisions that we make, we learn the wrong things, and we learn that we don't want to do that anymore. For example, you know what happens to a metal truck that's put in a fire? It gets hot. Gets hot. I learned that lesson at the age of 6. I was 6. I haven't forgotten it, no. I had this neat little truck. It was a metal, like a little Tonka truck or something that I loved it. I played with it all the time. And my brother thought it'd be neat to throw it in the fire. So he did. I didn't like that, so I reached in and grabbed it to get it out of the fire and burned my hands because it got hot. I do remember that somebody got a spanking for that. It wasn't me. I think he does. And so we learn things based on decisions that we make. And that's, the decisions that we make in this life do affect what we do, where we go, how we live. And the younger you are, you learn, and I think this is important too. I think it's important for us to recognize that we can learn lessons from the decisions that other people make. we can see when somebody else makes a decision, let's say, for example, a bad decision, and how it affects them. We have a choice to make now. Now, here's the problem sometimes with younger people. And I'm going to say, just put it that way, younger people. It's this. That's not going to happen to me. I can do that, and that's not going to happen to me. Right? You ever thought that? Uh-huh. And what happened? Happened just that way or worse, exactly. It is, though, important that we recognize that we can learn from the mistakes of others, from the decisions of others, not just the bad, the negative, but also the positive. When somebody makes a good decision, for example, maybe think about someone that you knew that decided to give their heart and life to Christ, and it changed their lives. It changed the course of their life, the direction of their life, and in their decision, you realize, I want to experience that myself. I want to be like them, and so we can learn from them. There's really a lot of different areas that when we make decisions that affect our destiny, but there are really 5 areas that I'm just going to mention. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about them, but they're faith, values, relationships, career, and money. And these decisions, the decisions that we make regarding our faith, regarding our values, certainly have an effect, not just now, but for eternity as well. Relationships are very important. And I'm not talking about our relationship with Christ. I'm talking about our interpersonal relationships. Because if you develop a relationship with the wrong person, what can happen? They can be a bad influence on you. They can draw you away from Christ. How many times have we seen that happen with young people in particular? That they get into and when I say get into a relationship, I don't mean a boyfriend-girlfriend type situation, just a friend. And they start hanging out with them and spending time with them. And, there's an old saying, and I can't remember exactly how it goes, so I'm going to paraphrase it, but it's something like this: bad company corrupts. If you spend time with somebody that they're not the best person, it will have an effect on you. It will corrupt you as well. And so, a lot of times we think, well, I can hang out with that bad person. I can spend a lot of time with them, and I can make them better because I'm a good person, right? It usually doesn't work that way. It usually works the opposite. And
you need to limit your time hanging out
mm-hmm.
with the person character and so on, and try to set an example in front of what you are, but don't participate in their lifestyle.
Right. And so I'm not saying that we don't ever spend time with them. But what I'm saying is we have to be careful that we don't spend too much time with them, because it will have an effect on us. And the writer gets into some things that I'm not going to go into. But faith, values, relationships, career. What about career? Can career be a problem? Sure it can. Especially if we don't pay attention to what God has to say and we choose what we want rather than what God wants. That can take us in the wrong direction. So we have to be careful. Mm-hmm. You mean it could become an idol? It could become a god. How many times have we seen that? This tends to affect men more than women, but it does affect women as well. and there are a lot of different reasons for that. I'm not going to get into all that, but the important thing is that, well, let me add money into this because career and money kind of follow together. They go together. A lot of times the career becomes so important because they're after the money. If I work harder and I do a better job, I'll get promoted, and if I get promoted, I'm going to get a pay raise and I'll get more money, and if I get more money, then I can buy more things, and when I buy more things, I find out I need more money, so I've got to go back and work harder at that job to get another promotion so I can get more money, and then when I get more money, I think I can buy more There's a cycle, isn't it? It seems to, there's a term, a self-fulfilling prophecy. Do you know what that means? You ever heard that term? That's that cycle. It just feeds itself, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that this is going to require this, is going to require this, is going to require this, and then it just goes right back around, and it starts all over. Not saying that money's bad. Not saying that career's bad. Not saying that promotions are bad. Not saying that buying things are bad. Those things in and of themselves are not. It's important. What's important is how much emphasis do we place on those things as opposed to our relationship with God. When the career, when the money, when the relationships become more important to us than our relationship with God, that's when we get into trouble. That's when we begin to have a problem. You're right. It's important that we work hard. It's important that we do a good job at our career, whatever that career is, that we spend the time needed to do what's needed. But it's also important that we realize that we need to be faithful to God as well, to live according to His purpose and according to His plan. Decisions, choices. You ever made a bad decision? Anybody want to share a bad decision they made? And we don't want to talk about it. That can be, yeah. I was trying to think of one that I wanted to share. Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oops. Yeah. It's, a lot of times we make decisions based on, something that's repetitive, something that we do a lot. And so when it's time to make a decision, then we think, well, I've been doing this for years. I know exactly what to do. I know how to do it. And so I make a decision based on that and get into it and realize, I forgot something. kind of like what you experienced. And we realize that we don't remember or we don't know quite as much as we thought we did. When it comes to making choices, when it comes to making decisions, that's why, especially life decisions, life-changing decisions, decisions that will affect not only our future but the future of others, it's so important that we make sure that we go to Scripture, that we go to God, that we spend time in prayer, and that we don't make those rash, quick decisions based on how it feels, on a gut feeling, but rather that we carefully evaluate the decision, but more importantly, that we prayerfully evaluate the decision. Once we've done that, then we can begin to understand how important it is that we make those right decisions and make those good decisions. Decisions also don't just affect us. And I think it's important, too, that we recognize that. Too many times, and I've heard people say this, well, it doesn't matter what I choose, I'm the only one that's going to be affected by that. That's not the case. For example, if a person chooses to go out and get drunk and get behind the wheel of a vehicle and get out on the road, they made a bad choice. The first bad choice was in getting drunk, but getting behind the wheel of a vehicle and then going out on the road, there's the potential of their being involved in an accident. And if that happens, more than likely it's going to involve another vehicle. And someone else could possibly be injured from that. Did their decision only affect them? No. It affected someone else as well. And if it ended in the death of another person, not only did it affect that other person, but it affected their family as well. And I know that's an extreme example, but it's important that we recognize the seriousness of the decisions that we make and that they do affect others. No matter how insignificant that decision may seem to us at the time, it will affect someone else. It will affect your children. It will affect your family. It will affect your friends. It will affect your friendship, your relationships. There are a lot of things that can be affected. And again, it comes back to, that's why it's so important that when we make decisions, that we recognize the importance of recognizing Christ, of seeking Christ in those decisions so that we make the right decisions. I'm not going to go into details with the bad decision that I made other than to say that I had a choice to make. This took place a long time ago. And I'll go so far as to say this. I had two girls that I was debating between asking to go on a date. And I debated it, and I made choice B rather than choice A. And that ended up in, well, to make a long story short, it ended up in my getting married and then getting divorced because I made the wrong choice. And, you know, the problem was, you know, we go back and you think, well, just that one decision, which girl are you going to ask out? Why is that such a big deal? But it was, because it had a long-term effect on me, on my life, and on the life of others as well, the lives of others.
But now, Bobby, you can look back and you learn lessons
Mm-hmm.
in that. And as bad as your situation was, did you look long enough, you learned something good to come out of the lessons that you learned in those mistakes?
Had I not made that decision, I would not be standing here today. Think about it. It took me a while to get to that point because I really did have a hard time with it. Had a hard time with coming to terms with it. But that was something that, and it's been several years ago now, and I don't remember what I was reading or what it was, but something, and the Lord brought that to my attention, that I'm where I am right now because of the decisions that I made then. Was it the right decision? Was it the wrong decision? That's irrelevant. What matters is that those decisions have brought me to where I am today. So I'm going to bring one of my favorite verses into this, that Romans 8:28, and we all know what that is. God takes all things and works them together for our good. He takes the bad, the ugly, the good, the great, the not so good, and everything in between, and works them all together for our good. And so we begin to understand then that what we've done and how we've lived in the past, even though it may have been wrong decisions because we didn't make the right choices then, those choices and those decisions are what have brought us to where we are now. And so the important thing is not what we did, but what we do. Not the decisions that we made, but the decisions that we are making. That we learn from those decisions, that we learn from those things, so that from this point forward, we seek the will of God, we prayerfully ask God for His direction, for His wisdom, so that we can make the right choices and do the right things. And I think all that together then will make the difference as we begin to understand. So when we think about destiny, we think about the decisions that we make. Remember that the decisions that you make will determine your destiny. Make good ones. Make sure that you're choosing Christ. Make sure that you're choosing to live according to God's purpose, plan, and will for your life, so that you can be what God would have you to be. And that will enable you to be a witness to others as well. Because as we live a life that's pleasing before God, and we walk consistently with God, we walk faithfully with God, others they're watching, they're observing, because they've heard what we said. Now they're looking at how we live and what we do to see if that matches what we've said. And when they realize that it does, then eventually they're going to desire what you have. And they may even come to you and say, I don't know what you've got, but I want it. And it'll give you an opportunity to share, to witness to them, and perhaps even win them to Christ. Any questions, any comments? All right, if not, then let's stand. And Bobby, would you dismiss us in prayer, please?